but hidden poison. Let's see what Krishna is referring to in these two verses. Just to make a quick reminder that Krishna has already started explaining the Karma Yoga to Arjun. And before that, he was talking about the Karma Kand. And before that, he was talking about the knowledge of self-realization. So, we also talked about the natural progression of the consciousness of a person from, the level of just sense gratification to the next higher level of being thankful to whoever is doing this for me, whoever is giving me all these facilities, and trying to do something for them in return. So trying to link with God or Krishna on that platform begins the yoga. Yoga means to join, to connect. So from the level that we start to connect with God or Krishna in one way or the other, can be said to be the starting of the yoga ladder. Yoga ladder, the Siri, The first rung of the ladder is Karma Yoga. Now, in this particular verse, let us see what is Krishna referring to when he says flowery words. But first, let's say the prayers. Om Agyantimirandhasya Gyananjan Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesh Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shrivas Adi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ramo 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 Hare Hare. Let's speak out the verses first. Both beautiful verses. Yamimam pushpitam vacham pravadanti avipaschitaha vedavadarataha partha nanyad astiti vadinaha. This was 4-2. Let's read 4-3 because they have been combined together because of having similar meanings. Kamatmanah swargapara janma karma phala pradam kriya vishesha bahulam bhogashwarya gatim prati. The translation by Srila Prabhupada reads like this. Men of small knowledge are very much attached to the flowery words of the Vedas. What's that? Please pay attention. Flowery words of the Vedas, which recommend various fruitive activities for elevation to heavenly planets, resultant good birth, power, and so forth. Being desirous of sense gratification and opulent life, they say that there is nothing more than this. And we always thought that Vedas are the ultimate. Well, actually, the Vedas are the words of God, definitely. So why is it that Krishna is calling whatever he has spoken in the Vedas as just flowery words? Don't we associate a sort of hypocrisy maybe with somebody who is used to speaking flowery words? We often say, oh, he just sweet talks. He just has a lot of flowery words. He doesn't mean a thing there. Actually, Krishna himself has been talking to Arjun in the previous few verses about Karma Kand. And what is Karma Kand? Just recall that Karma Kand means to do some sacrifices, some yagyas as mentioned in the Vedas to achieve certain goals of sense gratification. That is, for instance, if somebody wants to go to the heavens, there are certain kind of yagyas mentioned in the Vedas. You do this kind of yagya, you will go to the heavens and you will enjoy the heavens for so and so period, a long period of time. And then you do this, you can be elevated to the moon planet where you can, live with the residents of the moon and enjoy life there. Then if you want to get a next birth in a very good family, do this kind of a yagya, do this kind of a ritual. So what is Karm Kand? Karm Kand is doing of rituals to attain certain material goals, either on this planet Earth, like a good birth, like birth into a wealthy family, or birth into a powerful family later on, the next life, or on the heavenly planets, but of the same universe, that is, belonging to this material universe, So to achieve these goals in this material universe, there are some rituals mentioned in the Vedas. Now, Vedas have different sections. There is a, Karm Kand section, there is a Gyan Kand section, but there is another section that deals with Upasana Kand. That's a very small part of it, the Upasana Kand. Now, it is with the Upasana Kand that the Vedas start mentioning a little bit about devotion to God, but that too very indirectly. But in most of the Vedas, which are full of Karm Kand and Gyan Kand, it's been mentioned in the Shastras themselves that the Karm Kand and the Gyan Kand are like vessels of poison. Well, it seems to be very, very contradictory, because Krishna himself has spoken the Vedas, and he has given, all these rituals to elevate people from a life of misery on earth to maybe a better life in the heavens, or better life in the next, birth that we take. So why is it now that Krishna is telling Arjun, you don't get involved with all that, Arjun, that I have been saying in the past few verses, or what I have been saying in the Vedas, in the Karm Kand and the Gyan Kand. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjun that your consciousness is much above that. Don't involve yourself with that lower level of consciousness. Now, we can understand this by understanding that toys are given to the children to, sort of make them busy, right? But you would not offer a toy to somebody who is, a graduate from IIT, or somebody who is adult, very much mature, right? So which means that things are offered to people on the level of their consciousness. If people have a very low consciousness, they are only concerned about enjoying themselves, then Krishna says, okay, take the Vedas. At least even if you're trying to enjoy yourself and nothing else, and you're not to be bothered with anything else, then at least do it in a certain regulated way. At least do some rituals so that in the next birth you will be elevated to a higher consciousness where you can be given something which deals with the higher consciousness. And then the next step, and then the next step. And that is what is termed as the yoga ladder, right? So for instance, somebody is just concerned with the, sense gratification. So that person is recommended to follow at least Karm Kand. At least follow some rituals. Do this, you will go to the heavens. Do that, you will get a good birth. And because of doing all this, the consciousness raises just a little bit more. And then comes Karma Yoga, from where starts the spiritual life of a person, of a jiva. So with Karma Yoga, Krishna says, okay, you do this, okay, but offer the fruits to me. Offer the fruits of the activity or the actions that you're doing to me. No? Karam karo aur phal mujhe arpan kar do. That is Karma Yoga. So the consciousness level elevates just a little bit more. Then a person starts to think that what is there in just working and not even caring for the results? What if I just try to know more about who am I offering the results to? Let me try to know a little bit more about God, about Krishna. And then he comes to the level of Gyan Yoga, So Gyan Yoga, which means that the person is trying to acquire knowledge from reading the scriptures from here and from there. And then after acquiring knowledge, the person wants to see that Supreme Personality face to face. And then he graduates one step further and gets into Ashtanga or Dhyana Yoga. So we know of Dhyana yogis who, basically do tapasyas, austerities. They close their eyes or rather they focus their eyes on the tip of the nose for a long time. And that's how they interiorize their consciousness and try to focus on the Paramatma present in their own heart. Such dhyanis get to see Paramatma in their own heart. But once you see Paramatma, once you see God in your own heart, what next? What are you going to do next with Him? Just seeing Him isn't enough. Then you realize that just coming face to face with God is not enough. I need to do something more than this. I need to interact with Him. I need to carry out certain activities of loving exchanges with Him. That is what is going to give us the ultimate happiness. And then the person graduates to the next step, that is Bhakti Yoga. That is the highest step in the yoga ladder. So Bhakti Yoga or devotional service gives you the maximum amount of bliss, the maximum happiness of interacting with Krishna, with God Himself. So you see, starting point of this yoga ladder is the Karma Kand. But now in this section, Krishna is telling Arjun, no Arjun, your consciousness is above that. You can't just be caring about going to the heavenly planets. Why do people want to go to the heavenly planets? In the heavenly planets, the life is very long. And then people, get to enjoy the Soma Rasa, wine and women, that is, they get to enjoy wine and women in the Swarga Loka without the so-called miseries that you find in this world. No disease, no old age. But of course, in due course of time, when the punyas that we have done gets exhausted, then that person has to come back here only. Because Swarg is not a permanent destination. Till the time you have the credit in your pocket, the budget to pay for the facilities in Swarga, you can stay there. But as soon as you run out of money, you are sent back. And what's that money? The money is the pious credit, the punyas that you have accumulated by doing so many rituals, so many good deeds in your life. But once you're exhausted with that credit, that money, then you come back to this world only. And of course, depending upon what are your other activities, one might even have to go to the lower planetary systems, to the hellish planets, and then come back again in this world on the earth, because this earth is the karma bhumi. Here we do karma and we are awarded the fruits for it. This is the place. So the entire universe, there is only one karma bhumi, that is the earth, the earthly planet, that is. You see, so here also in the purport, Srila Prabhupada mentions that people in general are not very intelligent because of their ignorance, they are very attached to the fruitive activities. What are fruitive activities? Activities for which they want fruits, phal, they want for their actions, for their karma. And that is why for such people, the Vedas recommend Karma Kand. Do this ritual, get this. Do that ritual, you will get that. So that at least the person starts doing that and the consciousness is raised a little bit so that the person can understand the next step then, So just like a child, moves from one class to another, depending upon how his intelligence grows. Similarly, just as the intelligence and the consciousness level grows in a person, the person is, graduated or evolved from the Karma Kand to Karma Yoga, which is what Krishna is talking about in this section. So, Srila Prabhupada is telling us that in the Vedas, many sacrifices are recommended for elevation to the heavenly planets. For instance, we have the Jyotishtom Yagya. That gives you the guarantee that after this life, you will go to the Swargaloka and you will drink the Somaras. Incidentally, the Somaras is not the liquor that we see in this world. It's an altogether different thing. Not the same thing at all. So, Srila Prabhupada is again telling us that men with a poor fund of knowledge think that this is the whole purpose of Vedic wisdom. So people who are still very low in their consciousness, they think that the Vedas, the purpose of the Vedas, the conclusion of the Vedas is only to do the rituals and to get something in return, to do the ritual and then get something in return. But that will keep you trapped in this material universe. That will keep us right here in material bondage. We just, you see, for example, if we go to the market and we are very attached to buying things, first we earn, then we buy. First we earn, then we buy. But we just keep going through this vicious circle of earning and buying, earning and buying, earning and buying. But Krishna asks us to move one step ahead, to know that to go to the Swarg, to go to heavenly planets is not the ultimate destination, because even from the heavenly planets you are going to fall down one day. You have to try to get out of this material world, back to the spiritual world, from where no one returns, from where nobody comes back to this material world, because and that beautiful world is free of all kinds of misery, free of death, free of the miseries of birth, old age, disease, and everything. We have an eternal life there. That is the ultimate destination. So Krishna is now trying to tell Arjun that please aim for the ultimate destination, not for these temporary, heavenly destinations. That's not permanent at all, right? Now, here also, Srila Prabhupada explains why Krishna is saying that Vedas have flowery words. Flowery words means something which seems very attractive. Something which tells us, okay, you do this, you will get that. The allurement. It's something like, the politicians offering to us at the time of at the time of their election manifestos that are given out, the promises that they make. Of course, some of them may get fulfilled, but what then? We are back to square one, right? So similarly, in the Vedas, the different kinds of fruits which have been promised as a result of doing the rituals are only flowery words, Arjun. Why so? Because they're just going to keep you trapped in this material world. You're not going to get out of this ever. Vessels of poison. So, flowery words, but hidden poison, right? There are so many beautiful looking fruits in the forests, and you might be tempted to taste them because they're looking very beautiful, looking very attractive. But if you don't know, they might very well be poisonous and may harm you in the long run. So ultimately, we need to see that what is there for our ultimate benefit. So Krishna is trying to tell Arjun that following the Vedic Karma Kand is not your ultimate benefit. It may give you some temporary pleasure, but it's not going to help us in the long run. Srila Prabhupada again, sort of goes into greater detail to say that in the Karma Kand section of the Vedas, it is said that apam somam amrita abhum and akshayam havai chaturmasya yajinah sukratam bhavati, which means that those who perform the chaturmasya, for information, I would like to share the chaturmasya is the period of 4 months starting from the month of the rainy season, from the Savan, Shravan, Bhadrapad, Ashwin and Kartik. So in these 4 months, a person who carries out tapasya, some austerities, can enjoy, the Soma Ras in the heavens that is being promised in the Vedas. So a person who has very poor fund of knowledge, a low level of consciousness would think, wow, I am going to enjoy in the heavens. What more do I want? The person is not aware that there is a higher destination, a highest destination that we need to aim for. So people who are very sensual, very attached to sense gratification, are allured by the Vedas to at least move one step up. But that doesn't mean that every one of us needs to go through those steps. If we understand now that we have a higher destination than these material destination, we can skip the ladder and directly take the elevator up to Bhakti Yoga, so that we don't have to waste so much time, so many lives going one step at a time through the Bhakti, the yoga ladder, and reach the highest point by taking the elevator of Bhakti Yoga. So here Krishna is trying to, explain to Arjun that, you don't have that consciousness level that you start right from, the lowermost rung of the ladder. You can just take the elevator upwards and directly, of course, here he's talking about karma yoga, but eventually you see he's very soon going to move to Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna is taking up us on the, up on the Bhakti, or the yoga ladder up to Bhakti Yoga, sequentially. But ultimately, we have to reach the highest point, that is the Bhakti Yoga. That is a culmination of all of our spiritual endeavors. So that's all for today. Please chant Hare Krishna and be happy. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare